So, guess what? The envelope wasn't about the dog park at all. I fell to my knees, begging station management for forgiveness, but they silenced me immediately. They were simply letting me know that my vacation had finally been approved. I was confused for a moment. I asked about the burning glyph on the outside of the envelope and what I thought it meant, which took some explaining, as I didn't know how to describe that particular horrifying experience in English. And they laughed and said, no, that glyph is just the ancient abbreviation for human resources. They're who approve the vacations around here. Then they showed me the actual glyph that meant what I thought the other one meant, and I lost consciousness. I'm not sure for how long. When I woke, I heard the whispered instructions from the woman in the coral, and then I heard laughter. Station management was laughing. And I laughed too. And then they stopped laughing, or growling. Perhaps it was growling they were doing. It's very difficult to say what that noise is they make. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it was growling. Oh, now I'm super embarrassed about laughing. Friends, listeners, all of Night Vale, I love you very much, but I need time away to be with Carlos. Yes, and also some time to myself, to reflect. Also, I got a message from an old colleague, acquaintance, nemesis, who lives there as well. You know, I don't want to talk about it just yet. Night Vale, we've had many great years together, and I won't be gone long, but I've also grown weary. Weary of some friends who are less than friends. Weary of fights that need not be fought. Weary of not being myself some of the time, which is something I strongly prefer to be all of the time. Weary, sometimes, of Night Vale itself, I think. I'll be back. Whenever. Refreshed. You'll know when. It'll be when you hear my voice again. Stay tuned next for... Oh, I don't know. Anyway, time for vacation. Good night, Night Vale. Good night. Woohoo! Hello, listeners. I'm back from vacation and I'm feeling great. I, of course, miss being with Carlos in that desert otherworld and miss having so much time to relax with my boyfriend, but, as with any vacation, it always feels good to come home. We had such a delightful time. Carlos and the massed army of nomadic giants that inhabit that place have managed to build a little paradise there. There's now a roller coaster, and an ice cream parlor, and a beach resort, hotel, and spa. Unfortunately, they don't have operators for the roller coaster, nor any milk for making ice cream, nor any water along the beach resort. So most of those things just sit empty, except for the roller coaster, which is constantly running, and filled with the same people who got on it over 2 months ago. Unable to stop, because no one knew how to build a brake system. There were terrified screams Dopplering up and down the otherwise quiet nights. Those people are just having the time of the rest of their lives. Okay, so back to our vacation. Carlos showed me the apartment he built using his scientific knowledge of physical materials and spatial relations. It was a cute little one-bedroom on the side of a low, craggy mountain. Yeah, I know, I could hardly believe it. A mountain, right? We took turns making each other breakfast whenever we thought it was morning. Carlos cooks a delicious vegan omelet using thick fillets of ginger root for the eggs and filling it with dried cranberries and capers. I'm not a great cook, but I make excellent coffee. I generally don't let Carlos make the coffee because I have a specific way I like to make it using a coffee hammer and angry chanting. I like my coffee like I like my nights. Dark, endless, and impossible to sleep through. After a week's staycation in Carlos's apartment, we went with the giant masked warrior Alicia on several hiking trails around the desert canyons. Carlos and Alicia showed me the brilliant array of flora that grows in that desert otherworld. While the desert around Night Vale is mostly red and brown dust, with a smattering of white and brown rocks, topped with gray and brown brush, the canyons of the desert otherworld are flush with rich brush of charcoal and tan, rocks the color of snow and leather, and dust that was striped in shades of sunset and mahogany. And there were mysterious lights in the sky, just like here in Night Vale. We could not understand the lights, but we understood our lack of understanding, which is all most understanding is. Some mornings, Alicia and Doug and the other giant masked warriors would see other masked armies, and they would head off to war, gone for days at a time, only to return bloodied and fewer in number. Carlos and I didn't mind because it gave us more time to ourselves. Oh, more about our vacation later, but there's some news or something. Maybe I did speak too soon about being happy to be back home. Oh, while I was reporting the weather, I received this voicemail from Carlos.
Hi, babe. I heard you were apparently off saving the mayor again just now. I'm sorry I missed you. So, I wanted to ask. I was so afraid to ask while you were here because I didn't want to complicate our peaceful vacation with difficult choices, but here it goes. Cecil, remember that building? The simple rectangular building with a tall point atop it covered entirely in a tarp? You asked several times what that tarp was covering, and I said I didn't want to say, yet. And you remember the familiar-seeming man wearing dark sunglasses with what looked like bloodstains on his shirt, but I assured you was just barbecue sauce? Well, he built that building under the tarp. Cecil, it's a radio station. Kevin built a radio station. He doesn't seem to be planning anything evil. In fact, he seems pretty relaxed and friendly these days. He built it for anyone who wants to broadcast or listen to broadcasts. And it got me thinking, and I mean, you don't have to decide now, and you don't even have to decide yes at all, but would you ever think about, would you ever consider, this is tough to ask on voicemail. Just call me, okay? Call me when you're off the air. I love you.
Yes. Yes, I would, Carlos. I think I really would. It was so serene there. So lovely. Okay. Private thoughts done. Let's turn my microphone back on now. Well, listeners, I wonder what Carlos might be trying to ask me. I mean, it's probably nothing, and even if it was something, I don't think I would move away or anything. Move away? No one said anything about moving away. Who moves away? I have to stick around a bit anyway, because my sister and brother-in-law are going out of town for a couple of weeks and need me to look after my niece, Janice. I don't want to disappoint Janice. I mean, how could I disappoint Janice? By moving away? Why do you keep saying that? Who's moving away? Not me. So, I'll be sure to stay very focused on being a good uncle and guardian. Plus, apparently the mayor needs me around to save her all the time. Hate to leave that behind. We talked and watched movies. She let me put on Cat Ballou 5 times in a row because that was Carlos and I's movie night thing, and I had been missing that. So it's good that our station was spared and that I will continue doing radio for the foreseeable future. I'm not stopping radio broadcasting. I won't be doing it here, but I'll be continuing to do it. Right. So I guess it's time then. At the start of all this, I promised news, capital N. Here is the news. My next broadcast as host of Night Vale Community Radio will be my last in Night Vale. I am moving to the desert otherworld to spend more time with sweet, talented Carlos and the community he has built out there in that vast, sandy, alternate dimension. There is a radio station there, built by Kevin, who seems to have himself pretty under control, and his studio only has a little bit of blood, so I should be able to continue doing what I'm doing just fine. I won't be doing it in a way that you will be able to hear. But that too is just fine. I've missed Carlos greatly, and I've also grown weary of a mayor that can't protect herself, of a town that fears outsiders, of a faceless old woman who secretly lives in my home and publicly wants to do me harm. And I think of a desert otherworld where it is always sunny, and mountains are real. There is a helpful masked army that can build anything, and your cell phone battery never dies, even if reception is 4G at best. There is the question, is Night Vale worth it? Is Night Vale good? Is it a good town? Well, I will, for the first time in my long life, live somewhere other than Night Vale. But, as a poet once said, no matter where you end up, you're still from your hometown. I'll be back to visit from time to time, of course. I need to see Janice and my old friend Josie and many others besides. I am not gone, but I am going. I'm going to live somewhere I can feel good about, somewhere newer and better for me. Stay tuned next, eventually, for me reporting on the opening of the Opera House, and then not reporting on anything else here ever again. Penultimately, good night, Night Vale. Good night.